Welcome to my channel, artists. Today we will be making clay art donuts. Step number 1, pinch a donut shape. So you can see here that I'm cutting off about 1/4 of it for my details for later and keeping about 3/4 of it. The best way to make a pinch pot or pinched shape is to first round the corner. So I like to kind of tap it on the table, or I even have a paper underneath mine. If you're doing this in the classroom, working on top of a piece of paper is always a good idea so it doesn't stick to the table. So now that I have rolled a nice kind of rounded shape, I'm going to stick my thumb inside and I'm going to pinch a shape. So you can see I'm going to stick my thumb all the way through. Normally with a pinch pot, you would stop right there. But because we're making donuts, I'm actually going to go all the way through. So I'm making sure to go through both sides and I'm going to pinch. When I say pinch, I'm not going to squeeze as tight as I can. I want to just pinch with my fingers a little bit like lobster claws and go around so I have a nice rounded donut shape. When I'm finished with that, I'm just going to kind of smooth it and tap it out and finish off that shape so it makes the very best donut shape that I would like. Now that my shape is exactly what I would like, I'm ready for step number 2, rolling a slab. Notice I am doing this on top of a piece of paper, and I have pinched off one tiny little section left for some details, and I'm going to roll a slab. A slab is a thin, flat, even piece of clay. So I'm going to just take a rolling pin. I don't want to squeeze it completely to death, but I do want it pretty thin. So you'll notice here I keep rolling it on top of that paper so it doesn't stick to my table, back and forth until it's nice and thin and smooth and flat. So I can peel it off and I am ready for step number 3, to attach the slab. When I attach the slab, the first step I'm actually going to make is that I'm going to cut a frosting shape because I'm making a donut. So if I want to have a frosting, I'm not going to make it completely even to this idea that it's kind of drizzling down there. And then I'm going to cut out the circle from the center of my clay to make sure that it has a hole in it, just, to match that donut. The next part for attaching a slab is actually going to be a step called slip and score. The scoring part is what you're seeing now, where I'm scratching lines into it. Technically, you want to be making X's, but I'm making a whole bunch of X's completely connected to each other by drawing lines one direction and then the other direction. You can see that I'm even scratching up the surface a little bit more with the pointed side of my tool. I'm going to scratch up both sides, so not only am I scratching up and scoring the slab, I'm also going to use that scoring technique on the outside of my donut as well. The goal for this is actually so that the clay is rough and can actually the idea is join together almost like a puzzle piece in tiny little sections. Second part of slipping and scoring is the slip. Slip is glue basically for clay. It's just really watered down clay. So I have a little bowl where I've added clay and mushed it together with some water, and I'm going to spread it across like you might spread glue across both pieces of clay, and that will help additionally after the scoring, that will also help connect the clay. Once I have spread my slip on, I'm going to line up my slab on top of my donut and kind of press it down to make sure there's no air in there. It's nice and patted down and smoothed down. And then I'm going to take my tool at the edge and I'm actually going to completely connect it. So I'm going to smooth the edges together so that it's completely connected and there's no difference between the edge of the frosting and the edge of the donut. You can see that I'm doing that on the inside first. I know it's a little bit hard to see since it's a little bit off the screen, but you can see it with my fingers that I'm smoothing it out. Then I'll actually take a clay tool later and smooth it out a little bit with my clay tool as well, but I'm getting rid of those scoring techniques and kind of blending those two pieces of clay together so they're completely connected. Now we are ready for step number 4, roll coil details. A coil is a long, thin tube or snake shape of clay. Sometimes for coils, we want them to be a little thicker when we're making coil jars, like you'll see in other videos on my channel. But I'm going to be making details with my frosting, so I want to think like sprinkles or frosting lines. So I'm actually going to roll a thinner piece for my frosting. Now that I have finished rolling a really thin coil, I'm going to drizzle it across my donut to make a shape that looks like that drizzled frosting. Some things that you'll notice as you watch the video is that I'm going to cut the center part out so that it looks like it's truly drizzled over top. Another thing I will do is I will slip and score. So I'm going to do that scratching the surface and then adding the slip to make sure that it's attached exactly the way the larger piece of frosting is. So this is one way that you could make your coil designs. A different option for your donut could be to do sprinkles. So I'm going to take these off and demonstrate to you what a sprinkle design might look like. I'm going to go ahead and smooth out the top of that frosting, and I'm going to take my coils and I'm going to roll it even thinner. For sprinkles, I want them really, really tiny coils, very, very, very thin. I will still do the same steps where I'm still going to slip, I'm still going to score, making sure that I'm attaching it fully in the very best way that I can all across my donut. Don't forget that whatever details you're adding, you do want to make sure you're fully attaching on the sides as well. So you can see I'm using a plastic tool for this. Craft sticks also work as well, but I'm pushing that little bit of that edge down to fully connect and help that slip and score technique really take place. Once I have finished connecting all of those sprinkles to the larger piece of artwork, then I'm going to take another tool and I'm going to smooth out all of the frosting lines, especially the lines where I did the scoring, to make sure that everything is smooth and nice and the very finished shape and texture that I want for my image. You can see here that I skipped ahead to show that finished look where I've smoothed it out, and I'm ready for step 5, add air holes. One thing that happens with clay is that sometimes if it is too wet and it doesn't fully dry all the way inside, you can have problems with the moisture inside the clay causing it to explode or shatter. So I'm going to poke a hole all the way directly in it multiple times to allow air to escape and to allow it to dry faster. And of course, I'm going to put my name on the back. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you can keep up to date on all the fun and fantastic things that we are doing in the art classroom. What will you create?